Epictetus stood before his master, shackled and helpless. The idea I will share at the end of this changed how the most powerful man in history faced every single day. It's a common belief that death is something to be feared, a terrifying event that we should avoid thinking about at all costs. But what if this belief is not only wrong, but also harmful? What if, by avoiding the reality of our own mortality, we are actually living in a state of constant anxiety and fear? The Stoics, including Epictetus, had a very different approach to death. They believed that death was not something to be feared, but rather something to be accepted and even embraced. By acknowledging and accepting our own mortality, we can begin to live more authentically and freely. We can focus on what truly matters to us, rather than getting caught up in trivial concerns and fears. But how did the Stoics come to this conclusion? And what can we learn from their approach to death? What Marcus Aurelius wrote next in his journal is something most people are afraid to admit. Epictetus, a former slave, became one of the most influential Stoic philosophers. He taught that we should focus on what we can control, and accept what we cannot. He said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This idea is central to the Stoic philosophy, and it has profound implications for how we approach death. By focusing on what we can control, we can begin to let go of our fears and anxieties about the future. We can focus on living in the present moment, and cultivating a sense of inner strength and resilience. But how did Epictetus come to this realization? And what can we learn from his experiences? The next lesson is the one Seneca considered the hardest, and the most necessary. One of the most fascinating aspects of Stoic philosophy is its emphasis on the importance of living in accordance with nature. The Stoics believed that we should strive to live in harmony with the natural world, and that this would bring us a sense of peace and contentment. But what does this mean in practice? How can we apply this idea to our own lives, and what benefits can we expect to see? By living in accordance with nature, we can begin to let go of our ego and our desires, and focus on what truly matters. We can cultivate a sense of inner peace and wisdom, and live more authentically and freely. But this is not always easy, and it requires a deep commitment to personal growth and transformation. What comes next is the practice the Stoics hid from most people. So, how can we apply the Stoic philosophy to our own lives? How can we cultivate a sense of inner strength and resilience, and learn to face death without fear? The answer lies in the practice of meditation and mindfulness. By cultivating a greater awareness of our thoughts and emotions, we can begin to let go of our fears and anxieties, and focus on living in the present moment. We can learn to accept ourselves and others, and cultivate a sense of compassion and empathy. And we can begin to see the world in a new light, as a place of beauty and wonder, rather than a source of fear and anxiety. But this requires a commitment to regular practice, and a willingness to confront our own fears and limitations. The idea I promised to share at the beginning of this video is one that has the power to transform your life. It's the idea that death is not something to be feared, but rather something to be accepted and even embraced. By acknowledging and accepting our own mortality, we can begin to live more authentically and freely. We can focus on what truly matters to us, rather than getting caught up in trivial concerns and fears. And we can cultivate a sense of inner peace and wisdom, and live more in accordance with our values and principles. So, I encourage you to take the Stoic philosophy to heart, and to begin to apply its principles to your own life. You can start by subscribing to our channel, and joining our community of like-minded individuals who are committed to personal growth and transformation. If these words gave you strength today, subscribe. New Stoic wisdom every single day. The best is yet to come.